Okay. So without mentioning any details, you're worried about what everybody else is worried about. You're worried about controlling your environment, right? That's where
Yeah.
that's where my anxiety comes from. That's where your anxiety comes from. That's where our fear comes from, is that we cannot control things, right?
Mm-hmm.
We wish we could control them, but we can't, so it causes us discontent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Suffering. So what does that tell us? If we can't control reality, what's the next question? If we can't control reality, yeah, we can control, like I always say, we can control little things, like getting to our train on time and making sure certain things are in order. Yes, we have a little tiny bit of control, but ultimately we have no control. Oh, that's a pretty candle. I
I
love
think that's a glass with candle and some, cereal
Wow,
inside of it.
I love it.
So cool down.
I got
Thank
a
you.
candle too. I got a candle going on my stove right now. I love candles.
We got lots of them because we have blackouts in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man, I'm so sorry you blackout.
it's okay.
But
Thank you.
that was so if we can't control reality, what's the next question we ask ourselves? Is there anything that we can control? Right? Because if reality by its very nature causes discontent, doesn't do what we want, that's the three aspects of reality. I always tell you, right? What's the three aspects of reality?
It's impermanent.
Impermanent,
Yep. It's out of my control.
unsatisfactory, suffering out of our control. Yep. And the third one is
Just remember.
emptiness. It's
Emptiness.
lacking.
I all the time I forget it.
It's lacking of any inherent self. A lot of people they want things to last forever. So when things change, when they don't realize that impermanence is part of the laws of nature, it causes them suffering because they don't accept it. So they try to make statues and tombstones for themselves after they die so that everybody will remember them. They try to do all this stuff before they die, usually right before they die. So everybody recognizes them. But there's nothing there. It's just emptiness. But our belief that there's something there is causing all this trouble. So if we can't control reality, if reality by its nature is impermanent, empty, and suffering, what can we control? Do you know?
Never mind. Like I don't mean that we can control it like totally, but I
Right.
can say that we can like just we can if we see that some kind of thoughts arise in our mind, we can get distracted and focus on something else to relax.
You nailed it. The thing we can control is our focus, like you said, our attention.
Mhm.
We can focus our attention, aka we can choose how we react to things. That we do have control over. And in choosing how to react, one of the actions that we can choose to take in reaction, ironically, is not reacting. We can choose not to react. Like, if, I don't know, if your neighbor, right? Let's say your neighbor, if somebody steals his car or breaks into his house, he will be suffering, right? Oh my God, I can't believe somebody did this. This is horrible. But you'll feel bad for him, right? You'll say, "Oh, that's terrible." But you won't care as much as he does because it's not your stuff. I mean, you'll care because he's your friend, but ultimately there's no way that you will feel like he feels, you know? But you know the same thing happened. But if somebody steals your car, if somebody breaks into your house, you're going to feel horrible, right? But your neighbor's going to feel okay. But it's the same thing happening. It's just the way we perceive it, right? If you didn't have an attachment to your car, if you didn't have a negative attachment to your house, it doesn't mean that you're going to want somebody to steal your stuff. It's not going to mean that you're welcoming all these obstacles. But when they do come, you can have the choice to not react, like if it happened to somebody else. It's not always going to be perfect. You're going to feel a little pain is inevitable. You're always going to feel some type of pain. But we don't have to suffer. We don't have to go on. Like the Buddha said, I just heard on this podcast with Duncan Trussell, right? Like if somebody's mean to you, right? If somebody says horrible things about you, right? The Buddha said it's like somebody is shooting an arrow at you with hurtful words. And the arrow will land at your feet. And it's just in front of your feet, right? Like if somebody called me an asshole or something, the arrow lands in my feet. But if I pick up the arrow and I'm stabbing myself in the leg or the stomach, that's silly. Why would I do that? They missed me with the arrow. Why would I pick it up? The arrow of anger, and why would I stab myself with it? I don't have to react. I don't have to pick up their gift of anger and stab myself, right? We don't have to react when things happen that are outside of our control. It's our trying to control these things, and it's our unskillful means of trying to control reality that's causing our suffering, aka negative attachments. And this negative attachment I'm talking about is the attachment of trying to control. Let it go, you know? Let it all go. We can't control the people at work. We can't control our circumstances. We can't control anything. But we think we can if we just do. But like Jesus said, who by worrying can add a single hour to their day? It's not going to make you live longer to worry. Actually, quite the opposite. It'll make you live less with all the stress, negative effects that stress has on the body. And also, I worry about money too. I worry about all kinds of stuff. But I notice that my life, it's not like people think like if I follow God, I'll get everything. I'll get my car I want. I'll get my house. I'll have the perfect life. No, that doesn't happen. But if you practice earnestly, you won't get everything you want. You'll get something greater. You'll get what you'll need, and you'll appreciate the things you have. Like people think if they see a saint or somebody who loves God, right? And he's in rags, like hermits or holy men. Sometimes they wear clothes with holes in them. To us, we may say, oh, he's homeless, he doesn't look nice or whatever. But to them, to me, wearing clothes that you're not concerned with, in my mind is like I'm wearing gold. Because I know that it doesn't matter. I see the value in trying to be humble and not care about the way I look so much. Yes, I care about the way I look sometimes within reason, but in simple ways. Ultimately, I don't give a shit. So it's all about perception, and it's about letting go of an attempt to control things. We cannot control reality. We can only control not reacting. Do nothing. Sit in silence. Have you been trying that at all? The I am meditation. No.
I forgot, honestly, I forgot.
It's okay. This should be, in my opinion, should be whatever type of meditation it is, whether it's Robert Adams' I am meditation, where I told you you're breathing in, breathing out, am. I am. And realizing that that's the only thing we're we're giving our attention to in the moment. And we do that all day long, never stop. But I tell you, if you want to start out 5 minutes a day, you can try, but you haven't done that yet. That's okay. But the more we do, it's like a muscle. There's silence and emptiness in between our words, right? There's silence and emptiness in between our words. Pay attention to those moments of silence in between your thoughts, and they'll grow stronger the more awareness you give them. But if you give more awareness to the negative thoughts, to the attachments, then everything will go the wrong way. And if we start trusting in the Lord, in the universe, whatever you want to call it, God's grace, the universe, the nature's grace will come. There's times in my life when I didn't have any money for food when I was younger, and I'd go to bed very hungry. Many times. Many times. But as I got older, I realized that even though my life wasn't perfect, I could see in my heart that I was always earnestly trying at some level to pursue God, pursue Dhamma, pursue Buddha. I was earnestly trying, and they always took care of me. Even though some nights I may go to bed hungry, I didn't die. I didn't suffer that badly. I suffered some, but it was my own doing. But they always took care of me. It's almost like magic. Jesus told the truth when he said, "Don't worry about the clothes you wear. King Solomon in all his glory could not compare to the flowers, the lilies of the field."
Sorry, could
Well,
you please repeat it again, like Jesus saying, because I didn't get it.
Jesus said that King Solomon, do you know King Solomon?
Yeah, sure.
He said, in all of his glory, at the height of his quote success, he did not look nearly as beautiful as the flowers in the field, because the flowers didn't worry about what they looked like. So then God blessed them by giving them the most beauty, the most beautiful dress anybody could ever wear in nature, because they don't worry. The birds of the air, they don't worry how they're going to find food. God provides for them. So when I started letting go of my worries and saying I'll let the universe take care of it, but you really have to let go. You can't just say it. You got to believe it in your heart. Trust. That's why doubt is a hindrance in Buddhism. If you doubt, that's trouble, because it's just no good for you. The karma will take over. But if you trust, you give your karma, you give your worries, you give everything to the Lord or to Buddha or the universe, whatever, the unborn awareness, you'll see. It's almost like magic. Jesus was right. The Lord will provide for you. It won't be the way you expect, ever. It won't ever be the way you expect. But he will not leave you, ever. And by not leave you, I mean even Jesus, right? People say, oh, he won't leave you, but Jesus died on the cross. What was that about? But have you ever seen the movie The Passion of the Christ? Have you ever seen that movie?
Passion of the Christ?
Yes.
No, maybe yes, but maybe I just know the name in Russian. That's why I don't understand the film you're talking about.
Well, it's a movie that Mel Gibson made about the crucifixion of Jesus, of the last hour
May I
of his life.
search on the internet, please?
Sure.
Could you tell me the name again, please?
Passion of the Christ.
Здрасте.
Ariana Grande. Yay!
Passion of the Christ.
Yes. Yes.
Страсти Христовы. In Russian, that sounds like Страсти Христовы.
I think in Russian it's Rochki Brats Christio. Yeah. That's a bad Russian impression.
Maybe when I don't remember. Maybe when I was smaller, I saw
Nobody
some
really liked my impression. Okay.
some movies like this one, but I cannot say that I exactly remember.
Hmm. Well, anyways, so who had more trust than Jesus, right? Jesus had the most trust out of anybody in God and his Father, God. And yet he still was crucified, huh? Hmm. He still suffered.
Well,
Well,
he
he
was
still felt
silent.
pain. He didn't suffer.
He was what? No, no, could you please tell me this word because I want to know it?
Which word?
Crucified, or what did you say?
Crucified. Ah, crucified. The Romans, they put Jesus on the cross with the nails.
Mhm.
Crucified. Crucifixion. And when they did that, he still had pain, but he didn't suffer. Meaning, people will be like, what do you mean he didn't suffer? He was wailing and crying. That's physical pain. That's mental pain. We can't get rid of that stuff, yes. But he didn't suffer because when they were driving the nails into his hands, he looked at them and said, Father, please forgive them, for they know not what they do. Imagine if somebody was murdering you and you were praying to God, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. I love them. Can you imagine the perfection of spirit one needs to accomplish such a task like that, such a feat? It's insane. So God may not have saved him from the cross, but he gave him something that was much more valuable than saving a body from a cross. He saved his soul. He gave him the strength to save his soul. And this way, nobody can take away those things from you. Because why? Christ couldn't, well, some people argue, but if we look at it in realistic terms, or whatever, however you look at it, he couldn't control his reality, right? He knew that God ordained that he had to die on the cross. He didn't want to die, but he allowed it to happen, you know? So even Christ could not control his reality. But what did Jesus control? His mind,
His belief.
his perception, his awareness, and his reactions to things. So instead of reacting with anger that would have thrust him into the hell realm in his mind, he had the power and wisdom to react to people who were killing him with love. And he was greatly
Great.
rewarded.
If someone wants to kill me, I want to kill him as well.
No, you have to love them. You have to love them. It doesn't mean that you go around asking to get killed
That's
or
why I'm not
you
a
like
Jesus.
it.
Huh?
If you can
Pardon?
avoid it, try to avoid it. Even Jesus tried to avoid capture after he turned over the moneylender's thing in the temple, which is awesome. Because Jesus didn't like the greed that they were doing in the moneylender's temple in the church. It was supposed to be a church, but it became a place where they were killing animals for sacrifice and blood and coins, and they had stores there. They were selling and buying things and exchanging money for prayers. And Jesus got pissed and he punched everybody and cried and yelled and he was fighting with all of them because, sorry, I'm sick if I sound a little raspy, but because if anybody wants to know about spirituality, just follow the red letters in the Bible. Just follow Jesus' words and his actions. Jesus did not like money with spirituality at all. And he showed it. And I posted some on Instagram, some quotes from Jesus in the Bible. And we see that even when his enemies were killing him, he gave them forgiveness and love. How beautiful is that? If that's not enlightenment, I don't want enlightenment. Because that's perfect, you know. But I'll end our recording there. Let's see. I don't know how to end this.